The unfold has begun.
Welcome everyone. My rector in the body call is app together. They sounded off.
And that was the exact same competition.
Whoa!
Ended up costing you.
Hello and hello everyone, welcome back to the Tesseract Qualifier series. I am Xingyi and joining me today will be Denier.
Hi, how's it going, everyone?
Yeah, we've got some excellent matches today, and like I said before, this is the round of 16. All qualifying teams will be going through to the round of 8 tomorrow, which will be the quarterfinals. Things are getting really tense here. We've had a wonderful 2 weeks showcasing these games for you. So the first match we'll be seeing will be Debut Captain versus Hunter's Ace.
We saw a very strong show from both of these teams in the last round. Definitely both teams deserve to be going on. I think there's some very high seeded, very high skill players on both of these teams. Hunter's Ace probably the more known. That involves LMPK, Dead Doll, and Sudons today. And Sudons obviously is a name that everyone will have seen from the International Premier League.
Yeah, and so last time we saw Hunter's Ace, they played this Crystal Ozo that we hadn't, we hadn't really seen that, to be honest.
I still think that was just to hide something more powerful. They've definitely been, obviously, if they're bringing out an Ozo, they've practiced other things. So I look forward to seeing what they can draft today. Obviously, it's going to be a big part of who goes through.
Yeah. So Debut Captain, I think they're an all Vietnam team. They had a lot of fans in the chat last time. Hopefully, we can see some bit of battling going on between the Hunters fans and the Debut Captain fans. So a bit more about the playstyle. I think Hunters, I like what you've noticed about Hunters and just any game in general is that they've got really good synergy.
Yep, definitely. I remember seeing, even if they gave up an early kill, they went behind for the first couple of fights or something, they would just continue the aggression that they started with. They wouldn't let up, and it was that commitment and roaming as a 3 into the enemy jungle or ganking the lane that's what eventually started chipping away and getting them leads.
Yeah, and I think what we kind of noticed is that we're going to be seeing a little bit more kind of unusual compositions this time. I think we saw both teams last time, go for slightly different strategies than we normally see.
Yeah, well, like I said with the Ozo, I think they were just trying to hide what they are more comfortable on. So I think Hunters maybe go into this with a little bit more up their sleeve that they can pull out in the draft. Debut Captain obviously had to put all the stops to win their game. I think Hunters had a little bit of an easier time. So we'll have to see how the draft goes because we're just starting it just now.
Yeah, so this is the number 2 and the number 3 seed here. So Debut Captain have the number 2 seed in the Taka region, and Hunters have the number 3 seed. So it's a very close match I'll be expecting today from them. So we're coming out straight away with a Ringo ban from Debut Captain and an Adagio ban from Hunter's Ace.
Now, I'm not sure about the Adagio ban there. I know that Ringo is probably one of the more synergistic heroes with the buff comp, I'd say, in the current meta. I think depending on Hunter's strategy, the currently very strong Fortress may have been a better ban.
And we're out of the draft. Yeah, so we've been seeing a lot of Crystal Fortress recently. Yeah, so one looks like one team exited because they didn't feel like they didn't pick right. But they once the draft has started, you're not allowed to exit a game. This is a warning to any teams who are watching this, if they have any games still to play. So you're not allowed to leave the draft once the draft is started. Okay, so let's jump in to the game here. So we saw the Ringo and the Adagio ban last time. Adagio we've seen quite a bit in the SCA. He's been played a lot with like a weapon Vox or a weapon Ringo, but more commonly with that weapon Vox. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did bring out that weapon Vox this time.
Yep, it always surprises me how much the meta is different and how often you see that weapon box. I do see it in the EU region where Shingy and I play, and that's quite often with like Swordblade, double monocle. You maybe add some attack speed in there, but you rely on massive crits from the double proc bounce. So there's like the not double proc, sorry, the double basic attack from his Sonic Zoom.
Yeah, he's in a really good place right now. He can play either weapon or crystal, and both are still very powerful.
Yep, and it looks like what I said about Hunters not banning out Fortress. Debut Captain have picked that up first, and Hunters have responded with Arden and Koshka. And I think it's really smart that they've taken Arden away from Debut Captain. He could have posed a massive threat if Fortress and Arden together were allowed, because then you get the Gauntlet along with Attack of the Pack. You either waste your reflex block getting out so that you can deal with the wolves and not have it for later on, or you stay in the Gauntlet and have to deal with all three of the wolves.
Now what we're seeing here was what I really like is this Kester. Now I have not seen Kester at all. She was maybe a little bit overplayed in the last patch. Her weapon build was made really popular after the VIPL where Alliance used her a lot. But so far we've not seen a lot of her. Do you think she's still strong?
Personally, I still think she's an incredibly strong pick. It requires a lot more skill than it used to. The hitbox got a lot of tweaking so that it's much more accurate to the visuals. It looks like it should be a weapon Kestrel again, and with her perk of gaining attack speed with the more attacks she gets off, then that will synergize really well with Fortress's kit.
Yeah, I think Crystal Kester would not have worked well with Crystal Fortress at all. But
it still could have.
Yeah, it still could have. So the thing is, we're seeing a Fortress against a Sky, and a Fortress right now is an excellent counter against that Sky because her forward barrage does not kill those wolves.
Yep, I'm sure that these such high-level players will understand that by now. We did see in some previous rounds some players did try to forward barrage the wolves, and it just does absolutely nothing. You need to get those 3 basic attacks down.
Yes, so compositions-wise, we've got Fortress, we've got Kestrel for Debut Captain. That is a very squishy team here.
Yep, definitely. I think that's definitely what Koshka wants, which I'm now understanding why they went with the Koshka. I still don't understand the Sky pick. It's definitely looking like a weapon Sky. Obviously, double CP is still a very prominent pick right now, but if they want to be able to deal with the wolves, weapon Sky is definitely the better choice right now, so that they're not losing out on the forward barrage.
Yeah, so let's talk about a little bit more of the Crystal Fortress build that we usually see. So what do we see? What should we expect from this Crystal Fortress?
I still would expect rushing and aftershock. There are some variations where you can go for Frostburn and Broken Myth, but aftershock Broken Myth is definitely the most common right now. Building up a little bit of defense, but he can just melt his opponents so very easily. And with the cooldown of the aftershock, the Attack of the Pack is up much later in the late game, which is an essential part of his kit.
Yeah, so that Koshka, they don't really want to be getting to this late game for Hunter's Ace. They've got Koshka. She's quite an early mid-game hero. She doesn't really have much utility once it gets to the late game, and she's very easy to focus down.
I think they're really going to have a tough time, though. I'd say Sky is probably the one, once she has many more items, that she's going to be more of a threat in the later game. So Hunters are probably going to look to spike at, I'd say, anywhere between 10 minutes and Kraken. However, the problem with that is that Debut Captain are also in the same boat. They've got all the early level advantage with Kestrel and Fortress. I think neither team really has a late game. They're both going to be pushing as hard as they can, and they're in the lane as the first gank for Hunter's Ace onto Kestrel.
Yeah, they picked up their kill there on Kestrel very easily. Very nice forward barrage coming out from LMPK there on that Sky.
Yep, I think it was really well coordinated, and obviously Kestrel at the early levels can't use her active camo to get away while under attack, and has a tough time with mobility, so she doesn't have any gap, not gap closing, but she doesn't have any escape potential.
Yes, and so the Arden. So I think the Arden is a really good pickup against that fortress. You know, he can use a Warhorn away, just gauntlet away from the wolves, and they can just finish off the wolves, and the other team cannot get into the gauntlet.
He is also incredibly strong at dealing with squishy heroes by himself. He can dive a backline and act like a carry, just be such a nuisance, especially if he can pick up Stormguard banner fairly early. And there is another series of attacks onto MClan in the lane. Koshka taking out a massive chunk before having to back off while she was diving the turret. But it is Catherine who got turned on just there, and she is going down instead.
Yeah, so I think what we're seeing is here we are seeing how squishy MQuan, well, that whole team is right now. You know, not many of them have much defense. It's not really standing up to that Koshka so far. You know, we can just see Koshka diving into the turret, and look at her go. MQuan is almost dead now, and that thanks to the LMPK, they were able to finish off the kill. You know, they picked up 2 kills in the lane there.
Yeah, that's one after the other. The Kestrel was sticking around very low, and there's Sudons on Koshka diving again, managing to kill Fortress at the same time as she dies, and Catherine as well dying on the back of that, so that's another 2 kills going over to Hunter's ace.
Yeah, I really like how Hunters are playing right now. They're playing very aggressively. You know, they're taking advantage of that early game, and they're just coordinating their skills really well.
Stop it with the early
My
game.
has
But
begun.
it's a Fortress and Kestrel, they also have an early game. It's just the
But Koshka is they're a jungler at this moment. Even
I'd say it's more down to the team synergy roaming as a 3. They're getting some successful ganks, putting some good tower pressure, forcing debut captain into positions they just don't want to be in. And now that Catherine and Fortress are running up the lane together, they're trying to counter this, get a little bit of better positioning for themselves, push Hunters back into their own jungle and get a bit of breathing room. So far, it looks like it is going to be Weapon Sky. She's gone for a little bit of attack steam speed, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that upgraded fairly soon once Fortress is near level 6. But here comes the Yummy Cannon Frenzy from Koshka.
and Kestrel goes in very fast. Catherine is not going to be protected by her Stormguard as that forward barrage just breaks through it. And Boss 2 on that Fortress now, the only one left alive. Not really able to do much in a 1v3 situation. That turret is going to go down, and if he doesn't leave soon, he is going to be giving them a free kill.
Yep, that is a very early turret, 5 minutes into the game. I think, like I was saying, the roaming as a 3 from Hunters has definitely paid off for them. They're now 7 kills up and a turret. The gold lead's extended to about 4k, 3.5k, so I think things are looking very good for them.
Yeah, and LMPK is doing a lot better in the lane than MQuan is, 54 to 31 now. MQuan's, farm hasn't changed much in the past few minutes because of all those continual ganks.
Yeah, I think he's been sitting in his base or dead more often than he's been in the lane right now. 0-3-0 does not look like a very good score.
What do you think the debut captain can do to stop this?
Well, it's still very early on, but Kestrel has invested all of her money into offense right now. I think maybe she needs to go for a little bit of defense so she can't get burst down by the Koshka so easily, even if it's just a reflex block for the Yummy Cannon Frenzy or a light shield even, so that she can survive the initial burst. But right now, debut captain are just going down one by one. They're not having any good team fights where they are getting the jump on someone, where they are getting as 3.
And Hunter's Ace knows exactly where they are thanks to all the good vision placed down by Dead. Sudons jumps in, MQuan. The attack on the pack is released, but the Yummy Cannon Frenzy lands on the Kestrel, killing her. Boss 2 and Fantan are the only one left. Those wolves are still on them, but they're able to finish the kill onto the fortress. While still all the wolves are onto them. Fantan, now the only one left alive. That gauntlet just misses the Catherine, and she is going to escape, not securing the ace there for Hunters.
Yep, a little bit of a wasted gauntlet. They already had the benefit of winning the team fight and having 2 kills. I think waiting 100 seconds for that to come back up is a bit of a waste. They're really going to need it the next time Attack of the Pack is up, I think.
So, Sudon's having to run away. LMPK as well, looking in a very low position, just dodging that one shot, 1 kill there from the Kestrel.
I thought she wasn't going to move for ages, like, oh, Dyson with death, that red line on top of you.
Yes, so I think they're rightfully just backing off at this point. They're not in a very safe position right now, and I think if they knew that they'll be going right in for try and get the kills.
Definitely, both Koshka and Kestrel and Sky were taken very low there. Koshka went all the way to her backs, Sky secured the front, and It doesn't look like they're even going to bother going home. I think they're just trying to protect the gold mine since it's so full right now.
Yeah, they're playing a very dominant game so far. This is 7 minutes in. They've managed to take down 2 turrets, and they're very ahead in gold at this moment.
And then debut captain are just allowing hunters to pick up this full gold mine. They went and got their mini mine and then teleported home with like zero effort to go into their own jungle even.
Yes, so I think if they had, they could have maybe taken the gold mine. They could have started picking up kills, and the game would have started swinging their way if they had.
Yep, they are doing better as roaming as a 3, but this Catherine is just so squishy, so underleveled that it doesn't matter who they target. She's got that one peel stun and Fortune's Wilson come out, which they have right now, and here's the fight breaking out.
Boss 2 is going down so fast. Look at his health going down. Sidon is also in a very squishy position though, but he is the one first to go down. But however, this looks like it could be the ace as Fortress and Kester do go down, and Catherine is the last one, and that is another ace for Hunters.
Yep, and if you did notice, in the middle of that fight, Dead Doll on Arden, he wasn't bothering with this, standing around waiting for the right positioning. He is Arden. He's just right in the thick of it. He was on top of Kestrel, preventing her from using her active camo, and just battering away at her with the Blood for Blood, which deals immense amounts of damage.
If it's just me, it just looks like they're not caring about those wolves. They're not even trying. They're just focusing on bursting down debut captain at the moment.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. All 3 wolves were allowed to stay out the whole fight. I think they're just going with a brute force method. They're not counter playing around it at all. They've picked the heroes that they want to try and get those really fast kills with. Skye, with the Swordblade finished, is dealing out an immense amount of damage. She now has some crit as well in her kit. sorry for the rhyming.
Crit in her kit. Yeah, because her forward barrage now deals crit now, doesn't it?
It already did, but it's just the ratios have been upgraded a lot, and the weapon ratio and crit damage that it does when it crits on each small tick is a lot more.
Yeah, so Dead Doll using his boots there to get in, but he just got that stun out from the Catherine, just gonna turn back. So I'm not really sure what Baby Captain's game plan is right now, to be honest. They're just gonna stay near that tower. They're a little bit scared to come out because every time they do, they just get aced.
And it's not even 10 minutes into the game. I don't think things are looking very good for them right now, especially with that fortress. When you're ahead, it seems so dominant. He's gonna be able to get some kills if he keeps managing to get the attack of the pack out so early, but I think Kestrel falling so far behind the farm.
Yeah, so there's a team fight breaking out there. Catherine got killed very quickly. MQuan taking a lot of damage, and the Gauntlet trapping MQuan. They're able to secure the kill. Boss 2 now the only one left alive with the Yummy Cannon Frenzy, and he's not going to be alive for much longer. And that's the ace.
Yep, another ace going over in favor of Hunter's ace. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another couple of turrets dropping here, maybe even 3 if they want to risk it. Catherine is now out, so is Kestrel. Those death timers being reduced by the turret being destroyed as well.
Yeah, MQuan's taking a lot of damage onto the turret, but they're going to be backing off. Dead Doll and Sidon's taking a lot of damage there. But this is a very good position for Debut Captain to be in, but yet they're the ones that are losing this team fight. And Hunter's ace are able to secure another ace.
Yeah, that was just incredible. They managed to back off away from the turrets, not fight them in an uncompromising position, and they've been paid off for 10 minutes, and this game is going to be ending. Vein Crystal is down to half, down to a tiny sliver, and that is the game 1 to Hunter's ace.
Yeah, so the lower seeded team here are the ones that are able to take the first game. So maybe we can see a bit of a stronger performance in the next matchup.
Yep, I think there's definitely some mistakes there. Hunters have seen that Fortress as a strong pick, and it looks like they've practiced really a lot against that. The Koshka is definitely a strong choice. I'd say she's the strongest jungler to deal with this Crystal Fortress, and they've really managed to shut him down. But that was all through going via the lane, I'd say. They managed to get a couple of successful ganks onto Kestrel, and that just opened up the jungle to them to make sure it was a 2v2 and not risk her roaming down.
Yeah, I think that Kester was a bad pick. It's very, very easy to take down. Wasn't dealing that much damage from the very start. I'm not sure why.
I think it's probably just the accuracy of her glimmer shots. The active camo wasn't available during the team fights as well, and with them breaking out so fast, Fortress was available to get the attack of the pack. But with Arden, like I said, on one of the team fights, he just jumped straight on top of MQuan, preventing him from using active camo, and then from there on, he's got his arrows and nothing else to get away.
Yeah, so we'll have a quick look at the builds here. So let's talk about Skye. So she's got us that star boy, looking like she's going to be building some more crit. What second, third? She hardly any people had tier 3 items. This was such a short game. But what item do you think she was going to go for next?
It definitely looks like there was going to be a Tyrant's Monocle in there. She had the Blazing Salvo for the attack speed. It's just so the basic attacks and so she can stick onto a target, because if she's got the target lock on someone, then she can move around much easier, and it's probably to deal with the wolves as well.
Yeah,
Although they weren't really trying to.
yeah, I think there's. So I think the problem there was I'm not really sure what was going wrong for Hunter's Ace. On paper it looks like it could have been quite a very strong comp that they had.
Yep. For Hunter's Ace, did you say?
No, for debut captain.
For debut captain, yes. I think you're right in saying that Kestrel probably wasn't the correct choice. They probably practiced her beforehand, but maybe not against such high caliber opponents. It's really tough to get the same practice out there in random queuing as it is in such high competitive play as the round of 16 for the qualifiers for your region. I mean, that means there's only 15 other teams out there, and do you really want to be giving up your strategies to those other competitors?
Yes. So let's just jump into the second game between the two teams now. So what should we be seeing from these two teams now?
Early game comps.
Early game comps, all the way. Well, I remember both teams being very aggressive in their previous games. I've seen them play. I think unfortunately in that one for debut captain, Hunters were just a more aggressive team, and they just took advantage of it really well.
Yeah, I can definitely see like a 23-minute game, Cruel coming out. Nah.
Yeah, no Krulls. I've hardly seen any Krulls in the SEA region so far. It's definitely more of an EU NA message. So we're jumping into the draft again. We're jumping into the draft again. Let's just see what the drafts are. So last time we saw them batting at Ringo and Adagio.
Yep. Hunters maybe just don't like playing against Adagio, but here's the Skyban. They obviously think that she's a very strong hero. Managed to utilize her very well themselves that game, going 15-0. So I mean,
that's an impressive KDA there.
Yep, they know that her mobility is tough to deal with, and it looks like debut captain in return are going to be banning that Koshka. Debut captain probably trying to line themselves up for the Fortress pick again if Hunters don't go for that.
Well, look at the soft locks coming out from Hunters. Looks like they're the ones that won that Fortress.
LMPK is going for Adagio. I think they probably have a counter strategy ready for it.
Well, Sky and Koshka are banned out, and they were both the heroes that the carries played from Hunters Ace. So we're going to have to see a completely different composition coming out from Hunters this game.
Yep, I think it's quite smart. Obviously, Hunters can now go for the likes of Ringo and Fortress, but if I was debut captain, I'd probably go for something like that myself. It's going to counter an Adagio very well. As long as you avoid him when he's around level 2, when he's at his strongest, you should have a pretty easy time in the jungle.
Yes. And that was very close there for Quan as he locked in there. That's in literally the last second.
Yep, I saw a 0 pop up. I thought that was going to be them missing out, and that would have been incredibly unfortunate. They picked up 1 warning in the first game for exiting the draft simulator right now.
Yes, and we're going to be seeing that Ozo again. So they're not going to get the Fortress. Are we going to be seeing a Rome Ozo?
Romezo?
Romezo? Is this a thing?
It could be now.
What? I am so confused. I've not seen Sidon's. What?
Well, anyway, the rest of the team comps with the buffing Ringo looks to be a very strong choice. Depending on how Adagio and Ozo synergize together, that could decide a lot. I know Adagio and Arden work very well together, but I think Arden with the Celeste on the side of debut captain is a very strong choice. She does a lot of AoE damage, and trapping the heroes in there, she can get the supernovas off much easier because there's such a restricted area, and the solar storm is going to be able to hit more people if Arden can catch a successful gauntlet.
Yes, and this Romezo, let's see how this works. I think he actually be very effective against the Celeste, for displacing her where she is. They're going to be he can reposition her to where he wants them to be. It's excellent for Hunter's Ace. He'll be, right next to Adagio. You can see the heal, and she's gonna be dead before she knows it if Ozo manages to land his bangerang.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be how they play it. If they use the bangerang, put Sudons right in the middle of the enemy team, LMPK can easily get the gift of fire on him, put the entire team of debut captain ready and on fire for the buff onto Ringo.
Yes. So I'm still very confused by this Romezo. I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to work. So Ozo and Adagio against Blackfeather Arden. What do you think will happen?
Well, I was more surprised by okay, Ozo did pick up the contract. They weren't bullshit. They weren't lying. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. I think a lot of it will come down to the team play around Bangarang once he hits level 6. Obviously, he can be a big nuisance when he manages to get the acro bounces onto the back line.
So they're going in, but the whole time Fantan and Boster were sitting there waiting, and LMPK is looking very, very low. Sudon's trying, and I don't think he's going to get killed. I think it's going to be a 2-for-0 trade there for debut captain. I don't think Sudon's can pick up a kill there, so that's a bit unfortunate there.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a mistake. They didn't check around. They didn't have any flares or on them themselves. I would have been surprised to see debut captain doing any invades just there, but I think LMPK was just a little bit rushed. Didn't wait for his support to go in first, and was dived immediately by the Black Feather.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think Hunters lost out there too much. So they got 2 of their teammates died, but debut captain didn't invade, didn't lose out on any farm. I don't think it was that bad.
Yeah, Dead Doll actually roamed down and stole the front 2 camps from debut captain, so I think that worked out better in Hunter's favor.
Yeah, I don't think it was too bad there for them. So, Romzo, this is not something we see a lot. Who do you think has the better late game or mid game, depending on how the last game went?
Well, I did say I expect to see early game comps, and Adagio is a very strong pick, but he's still transitions quite well, and Dead Doll looks like he's put out in the middle of the lane right now, gets a heal from Adagio, but he's very, very low, 1 hit away. Arden has to back off under threat of the turret, but Black Feather is the lowest right now, already on fire. Adagio buffs himself and goes down onto Boss 2.
Yeah, Boss 2 and Fantan from debut captain there looking very, very low. And Sudon's, however, even though he rose right in the middle of it, hasn't managed to lose any health thanks to Adagio's heal.
Yeah, I think Adagio's sustain was definitely coming out on top in that whole team fight.
Yes. So, however, I just don't think Sudon's going to be doing too much as a roam Ozo until level 6. He can't really defend his team. The only thing he can really do is engage. He doesn't really have any utility in helping his team.
Yeah, well, like I said, the acro bounces will work very, very well. Getting the heal from Adagio, then Adagio has such an easy time. So he gets the heal on Ozo, who's in the middle of everyone. Buffs Ringo, simple. 2 steps.
2 steps. That's all it is.
But it all depends on whether they can be the one initiating team fights. If Boss 2 on that Arden can get some successful gauntlets down and separate the team, he's going to be managing to upset that playstyle, and they'll probably be able to take out one of those links in the chain very, very easily.
And we just see Boss 2 and Bantan there sitting in that bush trying to get the gank there on Dead Doll, but they weren't going to get that gank anytime soon as the rest of the Hunter's Ace team rotated up.
Yep, and you can see Adagio sitting on 2 swift shooters right now. They are going to regress onto the turret right now. Sudon's is the one highest up, taking all the damage from Celeste, which is very, very smart. She should be going for a little bit more of the backline. There was no minions anymore. Although Sudon's was taking turret aggro, he is the tankiest of the 3 right now.
Yeah, and so they got quite a decent amount of damage there onto the turret, setting up less than half health. So it's a very good position for Hunter's Ace. Next team fight, if they do win it, they could easily get that turret and maybe even the second turret down.
Yep, I'd say it feels very similar to the last game when Hunters just dove the turret a couple of times in a row, take it down maybe on the second or third attempt, and just kept rinsing and repeating. They went for a rotation through the jungle, or gank in the lane, and they've just used the numbers advantage they would get, or the health advantage they would gain, to push that objective.
Yeah, it seems like a very different game so far. Last time at this point, I think we'd have like maybe 10 kills at this point. This time, both teams are very, very even.
We had a turret down at this point as well.
We had a turret down, maybe there was 2 turrets. I can't quite remember. I think it was at 6 minutes, to be honest. But it's been a very quiet game, and I think Hunter's Ace are just kind of playing it kind of slow, just waiting till Sudon's gets at level 6, and just when they can start really bothering that Celeste, because right now they can't really get to her.
Well, they're going to have more trouble when she hits level 8, so I think they're utilizing that just now, because Celeste hitting level 8 is very, very bad for them. They don't want to be getting zoned out, they want to be diving straight away, getting Ozo in the thick of it, and allowing Ringo to come in with full health to clean up. But I'd say once they hit that level 6, that's definitely when you want to start paying really close attention to the team play coming out from Hunters.
Yes. So let's have a look. You know, like I said, it's 10.2k to 10k right now. It's very, very close. The farms from both sides in the jungle and the lane are remarkably equal.
Yeah, I think things are definitely going better for debut captain this time. Maybe there's some heroes they're more comfortable with. Obviously, Fortress is a very strong meta pick, but it's not always the best choice in tournaments like this. You want to be on a hero that you've played enough and you know their the intricacies of their kit. Maybe Fortress wasn't one of those heroes for debut captain. Celeste Blackfeather, it's going quite well for them right now. Blackfeather did rush the breaking point. Um, and against Squishy Ringo and Adagio, I can see the theory behind that. He can use his Rose of Fence to get a few stacks before the fight begins. But
The thing with breaking point now, it depends on existing weapon damage, and he doesn't really have that much weapon damage. Any weapon damage.
yeah, I'm just a little bit confused. Maybe he wants the attack speed before he goes for the weapon damage.
Yes, so don't know if he's gonna be dealing much damage right now. We'll wait till he gets like a Sora Blade or a Serapence or even a Tyrant before he can actually really start building stacks on that breaking point.
Yep. Ringo, on the other hand, has almost finished his Sora Blade. He has enough gold sitting, waiting. All he needs to do is go down to the shop. He already has the Blazing Salvo, already has the components for a Sora Blade. It looks like he's going to roam down now and pick it up, and it'll be a very strong power spike. And I'm just waiting on him going down to get that, because then they can initiate a team fight with Sudons being level 6.
Yeah, it'd be a really nice power spec for them. And so far, just what seems to be happening is that both teams are kind of just dancing around each other. We're not really seeing any kind of fully committed engages from either team.
Yep, Ringo's doing very well at farming there, utilizing all of his kit, like the Achilles shot to finish off that big minion, not missing out on a single bit of farm right now. It looks like Ringo still hasn't been to the shop, sitting on 1800 gold. I think there comes the Bangarang from Ozo though.
That displacement, but you know, Ringo is very low and he's actually going to be the one to go down. Celeste, however, is taken down by Sudons, but you know, this does leave Bantan and Boss 2 alive, and LMPK doesn't seem to be doing too much against that Blackfeather.
Well, Blackfeather is slowly just building up his stacks. He's sitting on 9, 10 now. And there's the Acro Bounce from Sudons coming in. But they're both sitting on incredibly low health. Everyone on the map is very, very low.
Yes, and I don't think Adagio wants to go in on this because he has, you know, he could, you know, very well die from this. And the Solar Storm Snipe missing LMPK, hitting Dead Doll, and actually dealing quite a bit of damage there to him.
If you look at Dead Doll's health, the Solar Storm hit him full in the face, taking him to just lower than 3/4 health. He had to pop a potion. I think he'll be full health by the time the next team fight starts, but everyone else on the map did just disengage that fight. It was 2 kills in favor of debut captain, and I just think they should not have fought with Ringo waiting to shops for so long.
Yeah, you know, they did not come off well in that fight whatsoever. You know, Celeste did go down, but so did like 2 other members. So did Dead Doll and Sudons, and LMPK couldn't do anything with that health.
Yep, Dead Dog went down incredibly fast, walked into the gauntlet wall when he already had very little health. He probably would have been better just trying to stay not stunned. I don't know if there's any word for that, but trying to not get stunned, that'd probably be better. And dealing out a little bit of damage before he died, because if he had, the fight could have swung all the way in their favor if he got a little bit more down. But there's some defense coming out from Phantom. He takes a heck of a lot of damage there.
Yeah, the Bangarang misses Fanta, not able to displace him. And if we look over at LMPK and Dead Doll, they're looking quite weak at this moment. And Dead Doll trying to finish off the kill onto M-Quan, but is not going to be successful.
Oh!
That Supernova is going to kill Dead Doll. So again, debut captain are the ones coming off better in this trade, especially after that very down at last game. And he's able to pick up the kill onto Celeste. And that tower is just on him, but he's now caught in that in-between bit where he's unfortunately going to go down.
And the power of Arden with a Storm Guard showing again, managing to finish off a kill for himself, sitting on 3-0 and 2, more than either of his carries right now. So I think Arden is definitely pulling this team's weight right now.
Hey, debut captain, you know, Hunters just seem adamant on trying to finish off that turret. They just keep diving it for it with no minions, and I think that's an awful idea at this point in time.
Well, the gold is still even, so they're farming better. Although they are giving up more kills, once that tower goes down, they're going to shoot into the lead.
Yeah. So, what has been happening? Why is Dead Dog going now so fast?
I think it's just some well, not in that last team fight, but if he gets caught out by anything from Celeste, he has 0 defense. He's only just bought an Oak Heart, so very low health. Coupled with not having any defense against these Supernovas. They have a very big AoE if he goes near one existing star. And I think Blackfeather is just diving that back line so consistently that it's becoming a massive problem for Deaddoll.
So, Sudons, he has a Warhorn, he has a Fountain now. Looking like he's going to be going for some more armor. Probably quite a good idea, especially against that Black Feather, who's looks like he's going to be going for that Serpent's Mask next.
Yep, well, more armor he gains, the less stacks Black Feather will gain from his breaking point, so it's a very strong choice to go, a very good choice to go for more right now. And it looks like Hunters are pressuring this lane again, clearing the way with all 3 members sitting behind it, but all 3 members of Debut Captain there as well. The turret is very, very low, but it doesn't look like Hunters are going to be making a move for it this time.
Yeah, I think the problem is with Hunters, they just can't catch that Celeste set, because with the amount of pressure that they're putting on, she's just backing away into the lane.
That was incredibly good core collapse from Celeste. Ringo was channeling his Hellfire Brute to try and finish off Phantom on that Black Feather, and there's the Warhorn from Sudon bangerang onto Celeste, and there's the counter gauntlet in defense.
Coming out, looks like he's going to be able to finish off that turret. Celeste does go down, this does leave Fanta in a bit of a rocky position as he dives straight in, which probably wasn't the sensible idea. Bostu now on the run, they're determined to finish this ace, and looks like they might get it there. So that is the ace. They're probably going to get another turret for this point, as well as the gold mine, giving them a massive gold spike.
Yep, they escaped through the skin of their teeth. Sudons had very, very low health by the end of that after taking a lot of turret shots. And I think Fan on Black Feather should have just gone home after he was left so low.
Yeah, we just saw him running into the middle of that, and probably wasn't the best idea considering how low he was running into, the full Hunters team.
After Celeste was dead as well. I mean, I think Arden's doing very well with his gauntlets. He's using them defensively. Whenever Ozo jumps in, they're trying to separate him away from the team, deal with Ozo first. However, the Aversive Judgment from Adagio is managing to catch them, so it's not a foolproof strategy just yet.
Yeah, so, we're at 12 minutes now. There's now a gold lead of 4k, and LMPK looking very, very low. Look at that Supernova and the Solar Storm coming out again. The Deaddoll and LMPK looking very low, but Phantom looks like he's going to be the one to go down. However, I don't think they're going to win this team fight as LMPK is running for his life. M-Fan still got reasonable energy and health there, just dealing a lot of health damage there onto Sudons.
LMPK was taking a lot of aggro off the gold miner. They're caught in a sticky situation right now. I think they're going to have to try and deal with Bostu to get any kind of escape here. But LMPK goes down first, and there's the core collapse from Celeste onto Sudons.
Yeah, Sudons has absolutely no energy to do anything. He is useless at this point in time.
Well, look at Celeste as well. She has very low energy, but Sudons' health is just too low, and he's sitting on top of another Helio waiting for Supernova. Bostu managing to survive just as well. I think Sudons did the right thing, trying to get a 1-for-1 for himself after the team fight didn't go so well.
I have thought that he was going to be able to pick up the kill there onto Boss too.
That whole sequence, though, they just didn't target Celeste the same way they have in other fights. They were trying to deal with the Black Feather who initiated on them. Celeste started with a really good core collapse and Supernova, which got LMPK down incredibly low, meaning he had to use the heal on himself. Ozo couldn't risk diving into the backline because he wasn't going to get the heal from Adagio.
Yeah, so I think they need to focus on that Celeste Monarch, like you said, and maybe they could start winning those team fights. Because, like you said, Celeste can just zone with her Supernovas and her Heliogenesis from far away, and that's just me chunking down their damage the whole time.
Yep, Hunters definitely didn't position very well in that last fight. They got caught out in a very sticky situation with like some really bad channels, which is exactly what Celeste wants. She managed to get like a Supernova, the core collapse, and her Solar Storm hitting at least 2 members of the team in all cases.
Yes, and look at that weapon, a Crystal Infusion coming out from Arden there. And Celeste getting her second tier 3 item, so she's on Eve and a Broken Myth now, so she's going to be doing a lot more damage. We're seeing the Gauntlet coming down. M-Quan is just punted back into the Gauntlet. Deaddoll not looking in a great position, but M-Quan is going to go down. However, Deaddoll is the next one to die in LBK as well. So now it's a bit of a 1v2 situation as Sudons is on the run from Fantan and Boss 2.
Yep, I think it started off well for them, but again, the counter gauntlet from Arden managed to separate Sudons and keep Celeste inside the gauntlet this time. I think either he can see the future or that was very, very well played by them and a little bit lucky. In the meantime, Bostu and Phantom are going to be progressing onto this turret, probably pick this one up themselves, make it 2-for-1 in turrets. Deaddoll will be up a little bit too soon for them to go for much more. They can clear a little bit of Hunter's jungle, but things are still looking very, very close. 28k apiece on gold. Kraken is on the map, 15-minute game. And what was I saying about early team comps?
Well, if we look at debut captain, they've got Black Feather and a Celeste, and there's no more late game than them, to be honest. Those characters, Black Feather and Celeste, they're much more stronger in the late game than they are in the early game.
That's true about many other heroes as well, but you know, we'll see how this goes. I still think both have the potential to win team fights. You can see them, it's very, very close right now. It just depends on whether Hunters can get their combo down of the heal and the buff. And it looks like Ringo is buffed right now. He is going to be going on to Phantom, but gets stunned on the gauntlet wall. Deaddoll is put incredibly low. The Fountain is saving him for a little bit longer, but Phantom is building up breaking point stacks. Ozo manages to finish him off. It's LMPK and Sudon's left against Mquan and Boss 2. LMPK going incredibly low to that Arden. Sudon stunned by the core collapse, having to run away as well. It's now both members of Hunters on the run. And Ozo goes down. Boss 2 looks like he's not letting LMPK get away.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be an ace, another ace for Davy Captain there as the game does swing into Davy Captain's favor. So I think the problem there is just that their Hunter's positioning doesn't seem the best right now. You know, Ringo's been stunned by that gauntlet several times now.
Yep, I definitely think he's not quite getting the reflex blocks down. I'd say the gauntlet is changing everything in this game. It manages to catch that Ringo. Again, it managed to protect his 2 carries, and Celeste can just sit in the back lane while Blackfeather dives straight onto Ringo. Ringo still has only a reflex block, which he wasn't even using successfully there. So Blackfeather will just wail on him, put out an immense amount of damage, build up those breaking point stacks. He was double infused as well, or possibly just weapon infusion for that last fight, sorry.
Yeah, he just needs to stop being caught out. You know, I think that was the 3rd time in a row that we saw him caught out by the gauntlet. You know, he was stunned, he couldn't deal any damage, and then he was starting chased by Blackfeather and Arden.
Yep, he just has no escapability with the gauntlet, having to use reflex block to get out of that, and then Blackfeather sitting on top of him. The only peel he could have is a heal from Adagio, but Adagio would have to use it on himself. The Bangarang's being used at the beginning of every fight, so that's not an option either.
Yeah, so one turret does go down there from the Hunters, and they're going to be able to finish off the Kraken before it gets another turret down, so that's actually quite good for Hunters there.
Yep, no kills picked up either. The turrets in the lane, they still have the 1 in the entrance to their base, so it's now even on turrets. Gold still in favor of Hunters after picking up that Kraken gold.
Yeah. So, look at all the armor coming out from Davy Captain. We've got a Mental Jacket, a Pauldrons, and Celeste sitting on a coat of plates there.
Yeah, they definitely know who to go for first. They think Ringo is the threat. LMPK, when he's left alone, can't do an awful lot. And there's the gauntlet coming down from Arden again.
Yeah, Deaddoll is able to escape from this, and look at Phantom just chasing after him. So he does go down very quickly, and now Phantom is looking very low. But look at that Serpent, look at the Barbed Needle just giving him that heal.
Yep, it's the barrier plus the healing from his items is doing an immense amount. Phantom was in the middle of the fight the whole time, taking most of the damage from Hunters. So I'm incredibly impressed he managed to live through that. It looks like they're going to dive this turret to try and get as much as they can during these death timers. But they've not got enough damage right now. It looks like they're going to have to wait for the minions to take the barrier down.
Yeah, so you know we could very well be seeing a 3rd game here between Hunter's Ace and Davy Captain. So I like seeing in all the fights is that we're just seeing Blackfeather just diving for that Ringo. You know, Ringo is just focusing so much on trying to get away from that Blackfeather. He can't really help with Celeste.
And it looks like Davy Captain are overstaying a little bit. They did manage to get the stun on Ringo for peel more than anything. They could have aggressed onto that, I think, but they'll just take all their winnings from the jungle, head back to the middle shop, cash in on that, and then get ready for the next round where they could finish this 2nd game and go to the 3rd game blind pick.
Yeah, well, we see Hunter's Ace kind of coming after them, and we just saw the double infusions running out from Blackfeather.
Yep, Celeste picking up her metal jacket, Arden going for a contraption, which is a little bit unusual. Here, his infusion is wearing out as well, and there is the gauntlet from him.
Very nice Bear just coming out. Oh, look at that Solar Storm hitting Dajon and taking him down. Deaddoll now on the run, and this looks like it's going to be a game for Davy Captain as they get another ace. I think they'll be running for those last 2 turrets that are left.
I think that could definitely be game. The turret death timer reset will mean Hunters could come up in time to defend their crystal, but without all 3 of them there, I don't think that's going to be possible.
Yeah, so it looks like we are going to be seeing a 3rd game, and even with the kind of reduction to death timers if you take them to Tara, I don't think it's going to be quite enough for them to stop him.
No, that's definitely going to be GG. I mean, that last team fight, look at Celeste's positioning. She got a couple of broken mid stacks, not more than 1 or 2. Completely peeled off the fight when the gauntlet went down. Put a Solar Storm through all 3 members of Hunter's Ace. With Blackfeather in the middle of all that, with Arden backing him up, Blackfeather is going to be able to survive long enough to build himself a few stacks and be enough of a nuisance and deal enough damage that Celeste can just come in and clean up with her Helios. I think that was a really well thought out competition from Davy Captain, and I'm really excited to see what they'll do going into the third game.
You know, I was surprised to see how, you know, I just felt in this game that Adagio didn't synergize that well with the Ringo. You know, he wasn't buffing him, and he, you know, it just didn't feel like he was doing that much.
I think it was going well. It was just the gauntlet was interrupting them so much. The Bangarang was going down. Adagio was healing and then buffing Ringo if you looked, but Ringo just wasn't in the correct range. He either had to run away from a gauntlet or try and chase the Arden boosting someone away. So their theory behind the comp was correct. I don't think Ozo was the right pick though.
Yeah, I don't think Ozo was the right pick. I just felt like he wasn't doing much. He couldn't really defend or help his teammates in any way.
No, I think they were just going for the same as the last round, getting a little bit too cocky, a little bit too comfortable, and paid the price this time.
Yeah, so we're going to be going to the third game blind pick. So whoever wins this will be going through to the quarterfinals. That will be taking place tomorrow. Okay, so let's get ready for the third game blind pick between these two teams. So let's just tell them.
We will get a stream cover going up right now so that no team can cheat and look at what other team's picking. They will have to lock in the blind pick screen, and then that is what they'll stick with. We will do a little bit of what's the word? We will try and guess a little bit of the team comps. I mean, personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see another Fortress coming out, possibly from the side of Hunters this time. Obviously, Hunters dealt with it very, very well from debut captain, so I don't think they're going to be going for it again. They didn't seem comfortable, and it definitely wasn't their strongest choice. In a blind pick, they'll probably go for those comfort picks again. It worked out well for them in that last one, so definitely excited to see what's going to come from this.
Okay, so we're going to be having a roster change for debut captain here. We're going to be replacing M Quan with Fan Long.
Yeah, maybe this is what they needed with the Fortress, because that could change everything. I think it's a very clever choice to be changing members at this point. You don't see it very often. You don't see tactical roster changes. I mean, I didn't see any problems with M Quan for connection or anything like that. So this just looks like a tactical change, which going into a blind pick is going to make all the difference.
Yeah, so we're just waiting on the third member off. Debut captain coming in right now. So we're going to have to wait a little bit longer before we can jump straight into the third game.
Yep, with these roster changes, we'll have to give them a little bit of time to get it done correct. Just waiting on them adding the correct member. Continuing to speculate a little bit, I think Koshka could definitely be a pickup. I wouldn't be surprised to see Hunters going for like a Fortress Koshka. Maybe a Ringo again. Seems to be a strong choice for them. It didn't work out in that last game, but if they've got experience, Ringo can be very devastating, especially with that early game comp instead of waiting on the buff.
Yep, so let's just jump in. We can't really say who they're going to be picking, but you know, I really hope they go for the same thing as last time, because I think that Black Feather Arden worked very well for them.
Yeah, well, I can't remember what else has worked well. Obviously, the Hunters counter comp worked quite well against Fortress, which was the Koshka Sky. Weapon Sky in that case, so she did very, very well with 15-0, and we have seen a lock-in from all members, and there is a few surprises here, actually.
Yeah, so debut captain, we're going to be seeing Sky, Arden, and Blackfeather, and over for Hunter's Ace, we're going to be seeing Ringo, Cruel, and Fortress. So a little bit doubtful as to the support for Hunters will be, and it looks like it's going to be that Fortress. So it looks like Hunters are going to be going for that later game there with that Cruel.
Well, Cruel, who can now go for more weapon damage in the early game, can deal with squishy junglers, can hold his own. He was already an absolute menace in the jungle, and against the Sky, he can deal with her very, very fast, especially with Fortress. That's an extra gap closer for him, extra bursts of damage, the extra move speed, like I said, from Fortress's A is very, very helpful for him to stick to targets.
Yes, this wasn't what we were expecting at all, though, from Hunters, was it, with that Cruel pick?
No, definitely not. From debut captain, I think it does seem like the kind of comp they would play. They've got the Sky, they've got Blackfeather again. Blackfeather's been put up into the lane, and he's doing incredibly well against an early game Ringo right now.
Yeah, so all three members of Hunter's Ace are now, you know, let's be seeing a 3v3 action going on as well. We see all three members of both teams in the jungle.
Yep, Sudons is on that fortress right now. I am surprised to see him on support so much, and he looks like he got caught in a forward barrage. Sky is half health, but Sudons can't risk coming back into the team fight right now.
Yeah, and they're able to finish off the kill onto Blackfeather, but Sudon's jumping straight into that forward barrage, and he, it does help LMPK pick up the kill onto that Sky there, so there's a bit of a 2-for-1 trade there going on, which is pretty good for Hunters.
Yep, I don't know whether it was the right choice for Sudons to jump back in there. He did cover the forward barrage for his teammates, but they were already out of it. I think he just gave over a free kill to them. Early game, not too much of a problem. They did get 2 in favor, but it does question how comfortable he is with such a squishy roamer.
Yeah, so over in the VIPL, we saw Sudon's playing jungle predominantly, but this time we've seen him to play 2 games on roam now.
Yeah, well, that roam also in the last one.
He's been playing quite aggressive, a bit off meta. Well, this Fortress isn't very off meta, but that roam also was definitely off meta.
Well, the Fortress does match his aggressive playstyle, and he's got a lot more damage to back it up. Ozo's base damage isn't all that high. It looks like Blackfeather is getting pushed out of the lane. Sudons is diving all by himself, taking a turret shot for his efforts, though.
Yes, and they force Fanlong to back away, and so they're going to be jumping onto that Fantan. And Fortress goes down to a Scout Trap, and LMPK down as well to that Suri Strike. However, this does leave Cruel on that Arden, and not much is really happening, so he's just going to back away from this team fight. 1v1 fight.
Yep, I think it's very to and fro right now. A 2-for-1 in favor of Hunters, followed by a 2-for-1 in favor of Debut Captain. These teams, apart from that game 1, do look to be very, very closely matched.
Yes, and I think I'm more inclined to agree with you that Debut Captain just didn't seem very comfortable on that Crystal Fortress pick.
Yep, it just shows that they haven't gone for it again. He is a very strong choice, so would be very prominent in blind picks. But considering they haven't gone for it, I'm inclined to think that it's not their most comfortable area.
Yep, and Fortress just staying with that Ringo in lane, allowing Crow to get that solo XP as just gets all the jungle.
Yep, very smart play from them. I know Sky could easily invade and probably deal with that Crow. He only has 2 Swift Shooters right now, but managing to collect all of his camps by himself, he's going to be out-leveling the enemy jungler very, very soon.
Yeah, so before we saw Cruel, he would just build a breaking point, but now with the new breaking point changes, what is the build that we see a bit more in Cruel?
Well, he does have the 2 Swift Shooters, and he has got a Crystal bit right now. I'm going to be so surprised if this turns out to be a Crystal Cruel. You can get the Aftershock, which is a very strong choice, like a hybrid build. But more inclined to say that I would go and see a Sorrow Blade coming out of him. But here comes a team fight. Looks like Hunters have roamed up from the bottom. The bite from Fortress deals with Arden so fast.
Yep, so now they're just pressuring the lane. I think this is something that we're seeing a lot from Hunters, is that they just like to push that lane a lot. We just see all 3 members sitting there just right up against that turret.
And that massive crit from Ringo pushing Blackfeather back. He does have a Book of Eulogies, so should be able to heal back up with this wave. Looks like Hunters aren't pushing this time. Fanlong is going to be able to collect all that farm for himself, but Hunters' pressure right now hasn't got them as much as it has in previous matches. They haven't got any damage onto the turret that they could have. But they do have a little bit of Scout Trap vision in the enemy jungle, so they know Blackfeather's down there by himself. Sudons is right beside him. I think they're going to want to engage on this.
Yeah, we see Sudon's heading in there with Ringo. Look at the damage onto Boss too. They're just focusing on him as they deal all the damage onto Arden, forcing both members to back away.
Yep, I think it's just whoever is in range of Sudons on that fortress is going to be suffering from it.
Yeah, and they're able to pick up the kill onto Boss too, and a lot of damage onto Fanlong. Look at that from Hell's Heart, and they are able to pick up the kill onto Blackfeather as well.
And there's the benefit of having the solo jungle XP. He hit level 6 first, took 2 turret shots, and LMPK is also very low after taking a few turret shots himself, so they can't get anything out of this in the way of turret damage.
Yeah, and they can't really go in for a 1v3 situation, so I have a feeling, Sky with very clever position could actually take down all 3.
Yeah, but it is a CP Sky again, who seems to be teleporting home. I think she really needs to stay and defend this turret because the 2 members of Hunters are still here. They are doing very, very well at wasting a lot of the farm of Debut Captain though. You can see Blackfeather is sitting on 33 to Ringo's 51. Sky has been collecting some of that while he's been dead. But meanwhile, Cruel is still going to be out-leveling her, getting that solo XP. Fortress was helping him just now, but that Hell's Heart timing was just so perfect to clean up an extra kill.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfect for that team fight. So, who thinks? I don't know. So do you think they can get a very early turret like they have been for the early games?
Well, it's already a little bit late, 6 minutes into the game. If they get one before 10 minutes, it's going to help their team comp out a lot. But with Cruel, they don't need to worry as much about that. He's going to scale a lot better. I'm really interested to see where this build goes, to see whether it's going to be all-out Crystal or whether it's just going to be going for the hybrid like the Aftershock I said. It is a build that has become much more popular. He'll be going for like the standard attack speed items along with the Aftershock so that he can sustain a little bit better and do a lot more burst damage. So his barrier will be bigger, his heals that he gets from the Spectral Smite stacks will heal him up a lot more.
Yeah, and we should hope that Dead Doll doesn't get caught out there, as we saw the On Point coming out there, just managing to clip the Cruel.
Yep, it looks like they are just going to be going and playing a little bit of farming right now. It's still very even between both teams. Like I said, Hunters haven't really managed, like you said, Hunters haven't really managed to get a lot of turret damage down like they have previously. But like I was saying, they don't need to. There is a gold mine pickup from Hunters right here. Very, very difficult to steal from a Cruel.
And if the Hellstar comes out again, managing to hit boss 2, and they're able to pick up the kill there onto the Arden, so this does leave Blackfeather and Sky there on their own. We see the hit from Hellstar, and LMPK is going to get chunked down by that forward barrage. The Wolves are out, but they're just going to back away from those Wolves without getting too much damage.
I do have to question LMPK's positioning. He does get caught out a lot on that Ringo with the gauntlets in the last game, standing right on top of a Suri strike and into a forward barrage in a channel right there. Maybe he just doesn't play many other heroes except Ringo, so doesn't know their counter plays. I just think he's giving up a free kill just now.
He also has absolutely no defense as well. And Dead Doll getting caught in the gauntlet and not being able to do much. Sudon's, still stuck on that gauntlet, having to back away while all three members.
Look at where Phantom was teleporting right beside a scout trap, giving Ringo vision, so the scout trap doesn't kill her, but indirectly it does.
Ringo knew exactly where it was. I had no idea that he was running over there to finish up the kill. So pretty good for Hunters Ace. They're actually able to swing the game a little bit more in their favor. And look at the damage that Ringo can deal if he doesn't get caught out.
Yeah, well, you saw it was all thanks to that Cruel getting the last ditch efforts down before he died. He was doing just enough damage to get Sky to have to back off, meaning Ringo could run in and finish her off, making it a 1-for-1 instead. All credit to Dead Doll on the Cruel for managing that.
Yeah, so that's, this is such a close game. So the first game, like you said, we saw a very dominant game from Hunters Ace. They're finish out the game in 10 minutes. Last game, not so much. And this time it's very, very close. And this is the third game.
Yep, I am seeing signs of that Hunters from game one. One slip up from debut captain could lead to a easy snowball, but right now Sky with the forward barrage is just doing so much damage. Cruel with the From Hell's Heart coming out there.
Yeah, just managed to stun the Fan Long, managed to save Ringo for an extra few seconds, but was not enough, to be honest.
And Fanlong took a turret shot there as well. Still quite healthy, but the forward barrage from Sky, she is still full health. A little bit low on energy, managed to catch 2 heroes with the Death from Above in that last team fight, which was absolutely critical. They just came straight at her, and that's exactly what a Sky wants.
Yeah, the attack impact comes out from Sudon, and forcing debut captain to back away from the turret before taking any more damage. But LMPK is out, he managed to kill Sky, and boss 2 as well. So Fan Long is now the only one left alive from debut captain. You can't really see Sudon's dive looking at his health, but this is a very good position for Hunter's Ace. They could easily finish down that turret.
What was that from Fantan on the Sky? He was in such good position, full health, getting a lot of damage out from his forward barrages, and then just decides to hit Suri Strike all the way in. Ringo managed to finish Blackfeather under turret right there, putting out massive, massive crit damage. Going to be able to finish off a Tyrant's Monocle when he visits the shop now.
Yep, and that's the first turret down in 10 minutes, and we're seeing Hunter's Ace drawing ahead with a 3k gold advantage.
Yep, I definitely said like one slip up. That Sky Suri striking into the middle of the enemy team as Ringo got back was definitely one of those kind of mistakes I was talking about.
Yeah, and I do think Hunter's Ace need to maybe tone down a little bit on the aggressiveness. Sometimes they're making plays that just don't seem the best idea for them.
Yeah, but they definitely need to position themselves around that Sky a little bit better. Fortress isn't the same as many other support heroes. He can't just body block the whole forward barrage. He will go down for his efforts if he tries that. Cruel could rush in and get a little bit of a chain stun down if he manages to get the From Hell's Heart out first.
Yeah, it looks like Davy captains are the ones who are going to be a little bit more aggressive right now, as we saw them pushed up against their lane. But it looks like Fantasy's going to back away. Now she is very quiet on her own. And Sidon's just jumping straight for her. She's going for the crystal infusion. But look at the damage Sidon's is taking. He is going to be the first to go down, I think.
And Ringo walking into the gauntlet wall again, trying to chase that Sky. Sudon's is very, very low right now, and Boss 2 is trying to chase that down. Cruel, meanwhile, is sticking to Fan Long, and there is the crystal damage doing a massive, massive chunk with only like 1 or 2 Spectral Smite stacks.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a sloppy team out there for both teams. And I think we just saw Davy Captain just splitting off in all directions, which was perfect for Hunter's ace.
Yeah, well, it was again, Sky was leaving her teammates to Suri Strike away from them. She ended up having to run away after that. The Gauntlet did manage to catch Ringo, so if she'd been more patient, she could have got the forward barrage on top of him without being able to move.
Yeah, and Ringo he managed to solo all these creeps in the jungle without actually taking that much damage. Thanks to some very impressive kiting.
Yep, that's very good kiting, especially since the jungle minions, I believe they got increased attack speed as well.
Wow.
Movement speed, sorry.
Yeah, so look at that 6k gold lead now at 12 minutes. Hunters are really getting into their own, just drawing ahead. They're making less mistakes now, which is a lot better to see.
What is really enjoyable to watch from Hunters Low is just their innovation. They're going for the CP Cruel this time, something we have never seen in competitive play like this. Anything I've seen anyway.
Look at Boss 2 going down. The wolves are out, and Sudon's. Look at Sudon's wolves just kind of blocking the Davy, blocking the forward barrage there.
3, 2, 1, Hell's Heart. There we go.
Yeah, Fortress does go down, but this does give them the ace. So I think that wasn't too bad there for Sudon's.
Yep, the whole time I was just watching that cooldown clock of Cruels from Hell's Heart, and guaranteed they were going to close out with an ace if he managed to get that before Sky could get away.
Yep, I've got to say I do really like that Crystal Cruel. You don't really see it working that well, but somehow they have made it work.
Yep, well, all he has is that broken mid, and Cruel is naturally wanting to just sustain in team fights, so it just makes sense that he'll be able to stack that up.
Well, I'm also quite surprised is that he doesn't have actually that much defense. He can stay alive for quite well in these team fights.
Yep, definitely the barrier from his A has a little bit of benefit from the crystal power, so it helps him sustain a little bit more. Obviously, he is just being overshadowed by the nuisance of Fortress in his face. They can't ignore Fortress, and then that means that Ringo is free to come in as well. And meanwhile, Cruel can just pick whichever target he wants. Blackfeather isn't as free to target the backline as he was last game.
Yeah, and I think Hunter's Ace, if they continue like this, they could finish off, the best of 3.
It does look like Hunters are in the driving seat right now. They're going to pick up another gold mine with the clock on about 13 minutes, going on 14. Kraken will be out soon. Hunters have all their turrets up in a very commanding position. Gold lead. It seems to have secured most of the jungle. They want to catch Boss 2 out right now, and there comes the attack of the pack from Fortress.
Yeah, and the very nice from Hell's Heart catching Fan Long out. Those wolves are still out, but they're going to be the back away out of range. But look at Ringo diving. Ringo is not someone you expect to be diving that far into a tower, but it looks like they are going to be able to finish that tower off as Sky tries to recover. And
look at that, the Cruel was tanking some turret shots, but heals up almost to full from that one Spectral Smite detonation.
Yeah, and look at that 10k gold advantage there for Hunter's Ace.
Things are just starting to get away from Debut Captain. They're going to have to recoup and think up a new strategy. They need to be able to defend, especially with this Kraken coming. They need to make a key decision as a team, whether they're going to contest that or whether they'll sit back, try and deal with Hunters, and then deal with Kraken.
Yes, and it looks like they are going to be taking that gold mine again in the last 10 seconds. I think we'll be guessing, and it's only a 68 gold payout, but any gold is some gold.
Yep, definitely. I think, what do you think of the build so far? Is it maybe that's the problem for Debut Captain? Obviously, Sky has been putting out an immense amount of damage. She does have a weapon infusion sitting in her inventory, which probably isn't the best choice considering her skills.
And then engaging Star Boss, just taking a lot of damage. LMPK using his boots to try and get a position, but Fantan is adamant to try and get to him, and the LMPK is going to be going down, leaving a 2v3 situation. Deaddoll jumping onto Fanlong, and looks like they are going to finish him down. But look at Sudon, he's going to get melted by that forward barrage coming out from Sky there. I don't know if Deaddoll will be able to finish this off, but he is going to be finishing off that Harden, leaving a 1v1 situation.
And luckily Death from Above was up again for Sky, so you can use that to peel away from the Cruel. Cruel is just being such a nuisance in all of these fights. He is so low health, but pushing Fantan back all by himself.
Yeah, very impressive play coming out from Deaddoll. So what went wrong in that fight? This is the first time we've seen LMPK and Sodons fall so fast.
Well, LMPK did just not abandon his team, but once again his positioning was just a little bit off. He tried to boots away, like both into the action and away from the threat of Sky, but Sky, in counter to that, was trying to keep her forward barrage on top of Ringo. She does have a Frostburn, so catching him did mean that he was taking an immense amount of damage. And after that, Fortress was already very, very low. I think Black Feather's Rose Defense had dealt a lot of damage going through all three.
And that's a crack in there for Hunter's Ace. So, you know, they're going to be really going for that turret push. Remember, see infusions, all the infusions coming out. Look at the double infusions from Ringo and Cruel there.
Yep, so many weapon fusions getting popped onto the map right now. I think Cruel double infused is going to be incredibly scary. Does have the Shiver Steel, does have that broken myth and attack speed. Tier 3 boots as well. So it's a very interesting build we're seeing from him today.
Yeah, they're jumping on the boss here who straight goes down before that gauntlet is even come down. The hell from a Helltalk, maybe a little bit questionable, but is able to help finish off that Sky. And now Fanlong is going to go down, and that's going to be an ace for Hunter's Ace.
Yep, that's definitely a game in their favor. It's going to be GG. Hunter's Ace will go through to the round of 8. That's the quarterfinals, and it's very well deserved. Like I said, I've really thoroughly enjoyed their innovation. It makes the draft so much easier for them that they can adapt and have these up their sleeve, like I was saying at the start.
Yeah, maybe they should leave the Romozo for next time. Then probably wouldn't look like a good idea.
They can definitely shelf that one. They
shelf that one.
almost
this
through.
This one worked. I think one thing I've noticed about Hunter's Ace is that they're not used to losing. You know, they only do well if they are winning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, their team comp last game, it didn't. It's not centered around coming from behind. It's not a comeback mechanically strong comp with the buff. You want to be engaging. You want to be in the driving seat like they were in both the other games. So that's why they put on so much aggression in the early game.
Right, we're going to do some build analysis, but it does appear that one member from both teams have sold their builds, so they are going to both get a warning for this. You're not allowed to sell your builds if you're playing in a tournament.
I'd say debut captain are very lucky. They would have been disqualified even if they had gone through. Meanwhile, Hunter's Ace do get a warning for themselves. So I'm more disappointed. I wish teams realized that there are reasons that we have these rules. It doesn't matter if you have a build. We've been looking at it and analyzing it all game. Don't be so dumb to try and hide it at the last second.
Yes. So let's take a short break and while we prepare the next game for you. So that's going to be Mega Empire versus Insane Potential. So we'll still be here. We're going to skip the build analysis, I think, for now, just because we're running a little bit behind on schedule. So see everyone soon, and autocorrects will be joining Denier this time.
Yep. See you again in a minute.